Hey, what's up, everybody?
Fam? This is Chanda
and Chanelle,
and we're live from the Double Dose Podcast, brought to you exclusively by the Revolt Podcast Network, anchored in hip hop and powered by creators. I'm so excited to be here yet again, another week.
So excited. Y'all, if you're loving the podcast, make sure you leave a 5-star review for us.
Not 4, not 3,
5. Because don't be hating.
Exactly. If you do anything less than a 5, because our show is like top notch.
It is. It's top tier.
I feel like you probably are a hater.
If it's anything less than a 5, you probably are hating.
Period.
Facts.
That's it. But listen, we want you guys to leave these 5-star ratings because it helps us.
It helps us with visibility.
Helps us to grow. Helps us
partnerships.
With partnerships. So continue to leave the 5 stars. Y'all are downloading. We just need y'all to leave the 5 stars. Make sure that you share this podcast with as many people as possible.
Yes.
You can listen to it wherever you listen to podcasts, including Apple Music, Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and our YouTube channel.
Make sure you subscribe there too.
Yes.
All right, you ready to jump into today's topic?
Let's hop into it.
All right.
Well, first of all, what have you been doing? Like, what you got going on? Still potting and stuff?
Yeah, so still doing my podcast interview. So really excited about some of our upcoming guests. So make sure you tune into the Success Playbook podcast so that you can experience these interviews.
I'm excited.
What have you been up to?
Potting, traveling. We just got back from New Orleans.
Yes.
We'll tell you guys more about that in the next episode.
It was a whole adventure.
It was an adventure, man. Listen. Essence. We cannot wait to come back next year. It was lit though. We made a lot of great connections.
Yes.
We met so many of you. And we can't wait. So next June in 2024, we want to see more of y'all out there.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, what we got? What's going on?
It's you.
It's me?
Yeah.
Wait, what's
the tweet?
The segment though. You gotta say the segment.
Oh, the segment is the double take. So this segment is our take and perspective on what's going on in pop culture, news, church culture, current events, etc. So it is going to be 2 different perspectives because we're 2 different individuals.
One set of twins with 2 different perspectives. We gotta stop forgetting to say that.
Say it like that in that cadence.
No, but in the beginning we didn't say it either.
Oh yes, okay.
People love when we say that. Yes. One set of twins. Okay. So yeah, there was a viral tweet, and I want to share it with you guys. So someone said, men blocking you when they're annoyed at you is such a female trait. Blocking is for girls only, exclamation point. Somebody else retweeted and said, men blocking women will never not be funny to me. Like, okay, Miss Nigga.
Ooh.
First of all, what are your thoughts?
I gotta say, if that's your girl.
Have you been blocked before?
I don't think so.
You don't, not to your knowledge.
Hold on, let me think. I don't think so.
Okay.
But one thing that's my ultimate pet peeve, I can't deal with a petty dude. I can't deal with petty. I can't. I only like mature.
Okay.
So that blocking stuff, nah. You might as well just block me out of your entire life, beloved.
Have you ever blocked anybody before?
Have I?
You never blocked a significant other?
Significant? Like, what are you talking about?
Somebody you're dating, or even like a family member.
Okay, a family member. Let's see what happens if I call your phone right now. Let me see.
It's ringing. It's ringing on my end. Is it ringing on your end? Oh, the call is forwarded. Okay.
Well, you shouldn't have texted me no nonsense. I gotta protect my peace.
So I'm blocked it.
Huh? I'll unblock you.
Whatever. So have
I gotta protect my peace.
Look. Okay, so you don't want anybody to block you because you don't want a petty dude, but you block other people. Have you ever blocked a dude?
Have I? Recently, no. Like, if we're adults and we're mature, we should be able to communicate through it.
Okay. So you see that as a male trait or a female trait, or
I'm not going to put a gender on it.
Okay.
But what I will say is that myself personally, I can't deal with that. I can't deal with that.
Yeah. So I've been blocked before, but it wasn't to my knowledge. I'm like, okay. When that person told me that they blocked me,
it was like didn't even notice.
So yeah. So I do think it's immature. I don't really subscribe to tweets like this though, because the concept of like putting gender-based traits to immature behavior, I think is very
toxic.
Whack. Yes, it's very whack to say. like, oh, women are emotional, or like women block people,
right.
or like that's only we do that.
Exactly.
Indicating that as women we're like emotionally unstable. Therefore, a man is. I think it's all just immature. People shouldn't block people.
Yeah, I agree.
So are you gonna unblock me?
I'll do it right now.
Oh, okay.
I just had to protect my peace.
Whatever, yo. But yeah, so if y'all are wondering why she blocked me, so whenever we have like content creation days, like it's intense.
It is very intense.
Sending content to each other, and then it does get annoying.
And then and then sometimes like you may not say things the right way, or I may not say things the right way. We might get testy with each other. We're here all day. We're hungry. Like we can get annoyed with one another.
Okay.
So
see, I wasn't even going to all that, but
okay.
So I guess a mature way of handling things like that would have been what? Maybe take a time out, give each other space, as opposed to like blocking. And I think this could be translated in the same way in relationships. Like instead of kind of going straight to that immature place of like blocking somebody.
Yeah. I mean, a sisterhood is a relationship.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But I was talking even in the context of the tweet.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm saying both rules apply, right?
Yeah.
So
that's what we're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So those are my thoughts. I really hope we get to a place, if not in this year of our Lord Jesus Christ, maybe in the next year.
Yeah.
To stop putting gender-based traits on toxic behaviors.
Right.
Because I hate when people say, oh, that's a female trait.
Right.
Or that's a male trait. Like, nah, like traits are traits. Traits can be immature. Traits can be toxic. Traits can be, like it doesn't have to be like a man does this or a woman does that.
I wish people would stop affiliating like women's traits with toxicity.
And immaturity.
Yeah.
And emotional instability.
Right.
Like that's so much rooted in like misogyny.
Exactly.
We got to get beyond that.
Exactly.
Child. But yeah.
What else is next?
You got the itinerary. All right. So the topic today is basically we want to come from the concept of like not despising your humble beginnings.
Despise not your humble beginnings.
And so this topic really came to us because, we get people in our DMs all the time saying how like discouraged they are because they feel like they didn't finish their degree or like they're at a job that they don't like. They're, at a place
they're just not where they want to be in life right now.
Yeah, exactly. And I think when people see us, what do you think people think when they see us in our
They
careers?
assume that we're exactly where we want to be. And that could be true, but I mean, we're always striving to go to the next level. And they probably see it as like, hey, they have this life that I want or whatever. Like they're in their career fields, they're successful at it, which is great, but they don't know that it was a process to get here.
The process is what I want us to focus on today. Because people think that like, we graduated, I got my bachelor's in psychology, and then right after that, I became a psychologist. And the process is way longer than that.
Right. They don't remember you was catching the bus at 4 a.m. to go to Philly to get your master's first.
Bruh. First catching the bus, then catching the train, then walking to campus, then doing all that on the way back at like 9 and 10 o'clock at night.
Right.
And then for my doctorate, waking up at 4 a.m., driving to the train station, riding 2 hours.
In Abilene.
Right.
Races behind Abilene.
Riding 2 hours to D.C., spending all day on campus till around 7 or 8, and then taking that 2-hour train ride back. Like, it was a full day.
Yeah.
Like, it was a process.
Yes.
But people, when they see us, Chanelle, they think like
they don't see the process.
Yeah, they just see the success or whatever.
Right.
So tell us about your process. Like, when you graduated in, what was your degree in? Business management. Yeah, when you graduated, like, did the Sixers call you or like what happened?
Absolutely not. My first job out of school I was a shoe girl at Nordstrom.
Yeah, so you was in Nordstrom.
Touching feet. How
was that?
Terrible.
Why?
I don't like feet.
Okay. So you were like a salesperson or like?
I was. It started with it was an internship. So it was like a fashion internship because I was exploring different lanes like fashion marketing or what have you. So it was cool. It got me through, right? It was my first job. And then after that year internship, it transformed into like a full-time job. So it was 40 hours a week at Nordstrom in the shoe department.
With your business degree?
I had my bachelor's in business management, and I was working at the Christiana Mall.
And that's the thing. Like, people don't see, like, the process related to this. Like,
I know, and I wrote about it. Like, I want people to know about this. I try to talk about it as much as I can, but people still assume, like, it was easy street, right?
Okay, so even after Nordstrom, what was next?
Then I got a job through the state of Delaware as a secretary.
Was it related to sports or business? Or?
Absolutely not.
What was
it? It was, I forgot, DSCYF.
You worked for the state. I think
Children and Family First. Is that what it was?
Yeah, children, something related to children.
Yeah, something with children and families. And I was a secretary.
Yeah. So. And the human resources or something?
It was not human resources. I just supported the director who was over the program.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so this was still like after your degree?
After my degree.
Okay.
Yeah.
You still had this passion for wanting to be in sports, though?
Absolutely. I was still applying. I was still interviewing. I was still pursuing my master's. Yeah.
How many years was this? So working at Nordstrom and then working for the state. Like how long was that span?
I want to say it was a span of 2 years.
Okay. So what made you not quit? Like how did you just not like stay stuck in that loop? Because I can imagine there are people who may have like gotten their degree and may have gotten discouraged and not have gotten that job in sports, and they stay stuck in that loop of like, you know, working at a Nordstrom. Or not saying there's anything wrong with it if that's where you're content at, but if you still have that passion, how do you not get stuck in that loop?
So I continue to expose myself to people who I know I wanted to be like. And I'm not ashamed of saying that. So I would go on LinkedIn. I would look at the pages of people who were in the industry I wanted to be in. I would look at their career path. I would go to all the networking events. I would go to all the career fairs. I would continue to connect with people while I was still a secretary. I was still interviewing. I was still tweaking my resume every night. I was still like doing the work to get into the industry, although it felt like it was so far away.
Yeah. And I even remember like you being in that process of like working at Nordstrom and like these other spaces that you were working at. You were like, yeah, I don't want to like go out with, you know.
Bro, they love the Nordstrom girlies. I used to get invited out. Like, you know, they would just want to go to the local like restaurants in Wilmington at the riverfront or whatever. And every once in a while I would hang out, but I'm not hanging out with y'all every week, every day or whatever if I am not where I want to be in life. Like, I am going home, I'm working on my resume, I'm doing some sort of certification so I can prepare myself for the next step, because I never want to be comfortable in this place.
Yeah.
So
some people get comfortable, though.
That's wild.
Yeah.
But I could never find myself to be comfortable, because I knew that's not where I wanted to be, and I knew that's not where I was going to end up. In spite of, you know, me working at Nordstrom or whatever, I always knew I had a big future. It just didn't catch up with me yet. Like, I knew it was there. I knew I just had to put in the work, and I had to like strive for it.
And you definitely put in the work. I remember you going on job interviews, and like each interview you would use a full page of notes to the point where like that notepad was gone.
Yeah.
That was like how many interviews you went on.
Facts.
So what would you say, like over 150 interviews?
It was a lot. Yeah. It was a lot. A full legal pad worth.
Full legal pad.
Yeah.
So that's about 100 pages.
Probably.
Yeah. So, but you, right now you're working in the sports industry.
I am.
That didn't happen overnight.
Did not.
So what would you say to like, you know, the people who are listening?
I'll say to never doubt yourself. I'll say to keep the faith, because that's what pushed me through. I'll say to never get comfortable. If you're not where you want to be, don't get comfortable. And acquire mentors, like acquire people who are currently in the space that you want to be in so that they can pour into you.
Who were your mentors?
It varied. Like I said, like I looked online at people who like was doing what I wanted to do. Like I may not have ever met them or talked to them, but like they were kind of my online mentors, because I would go on and like stalk their pages and figure out like, you know, okay, well this person worked at this place for a couple years, but then they went to here, and then like I would literally figure out what their patterns were of the more successful people. Outside of that, I'll say that, you know, in this space 10 years ago, I didn't have a me to look up to. Like, there was nobody that looked like me that I could run up to and say, hey, like, I'm looking to do the same. I had to see it before I saw it. I had to see myself in this position because it didn't exist yet. And now that I'm in this industry, it's way more black women in this industry now. And I'm able to be what I needed 10 years ago.
To other people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure people express that to you all the time. Like, you're who they needed to see, like to know that it's possible. Yeah. I bet that's rewarding.
It is. It's so rewarding, and I'm just grateful to like pour into people.
That's what's up.
Yeah. So let's talk about your journey.
Yeah.
All right. So you graduated from Delaware State.
Yeah.
You were part of the psychology club.
Okay.
How did you appreciate that?
Why do y'all always talk about me being a part of the psychology club? I don't understand why that's a joke.
Because like, wow.
Okay.
Okay. You were in the psychology club.
Yes.
You were in psych. You did all the things.
I had like one of the highest GPAs in the department.
That's what's up.
Like I was out here.
I didn't.
You didn't. No. You was like praying to get through.
Yes.
I know it was hard for you to balance because you did a lot on campus.
I think that's always been my problem.
Yeah.
Not a problem, but it's like I appreciated the academia of like going to a university, but I more appreciated the opportunity to network, to build my skill set, to build these other soft skills that I knew was going to allow me to thrive in the real world. Like I was so ready to take over the world that I was forgetting like, oh yeah, I do have math class at 3:00.
That's what you were there for, though. But yeah, okay. So I was at Delaware State University. Shout out to DSU. I graduated with my degree in psychology. My first job out of college was at J. Crew. I hated it. I hated those people, Chanelle. Like, I mean, it's not good to say you hated people, but I hated the experience.
Yes.
Like, it was...
I would too.
Like, having to clock in, people telling you when you can go to lunch.
A job.
But I'm not used. I was never used to that. Prior to that job, I don't know if I held like a consistent. I never held a consistent job prior to that.
Yeah.
Which is another thing we got to talk about. But
wait, hold on. Prior to J. Crew, you never held a consistent job?
You had multiple jobs.
I enjoyed having my own money.
My parents gave me money. I was good.
I didn't want that.
Okay. But we have the rest of our lives to work, though. I don't understand, like, why y'all were so pressed to work.
That is wild. Anyway.
So, yeah.
Okay,
so
J. Crew.
Worked at J. Crew.
Racist.
They were very much racist. I experienced all types of racism, texturism.
Colorism?
From employees. Not necessarily colorism. From employees and also, like, customers. And if I had known back then what I know now, trust and believe, J. Crew would have got a nice lawsuit.
What's the statute of limitations on that?
I don't know, but it's been years.
Okay,
it's been years. But yeah, so after J. Crew, I had worked at the state, right? I always knew after getting my bachelor's degree, and that's another thing, and this is a toxic trait. Because I knew like getting my bachelor's degree was just a stepping stone, I always knew I was going to have my doctorate and be Dr. Chanda. I wasn't even pressed to go to my college graduation. I went, of course, but I wasn't excited. Yeah,
I wasn't excited.
I wasn't excited because I knew this is okay. I still have a master's. I still have a doctorate to get through. Let's hurry this up so I can, just get along with this process. Yeah. And that's so opposite to what we should be doing. We should be celebrating every single moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I always knew that I wanted to be a doctor of psychology, and I wanted to be in roles and fields that helped me along the way. So I continued to apply for like master's and doctorate programs while also I applied for jobs. So my first like job after J. Crew was working for the state of Delaware.
Okay, were we at the state at the same time?
I think so.
Okay,
yeah, working for the state of Delaware. I worked at the child abuse reporting line.
Oh, yes.
Right at Newcastle County Police Department.
The 911 center.
Yeah, I was at the 911 center, but it was specifically in the child abuse reporting department. Yeah. And so I took calls. People would kind of tell me, all their stories. I had to document them, put them in prioritize them regarding like our tiers. Tier 1 is the highest priority. Tier 2 and Tier 3. If it's a Tier 1, you would have to send the police out. Like it was a whole thing. And so while I did that...
What would constitute a Tier 1?
Like, if there's, like, actual abuse, like something that constitutes abuse, and they're still in the home, like, especially if the person can't advocate for themselves, if it's, like, physical by nature, sexual by nature, like, things of that nature, and they can't, like, advocate for themselves, and they don't have a caretaker to advocate for them, then, that would be a Tier 1, or a P1 is what we called it. But, yeah, so that's what I did. That's where I also applied for the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine, and I was accepted there, received my master's there. Later down the road, I found out that that's where Dr. Umar went.
Dr. Umar went to Pecan?
Dr. Umar went to Pecan. That's where he got his PsyD, yeah.
He got his PsyD from Pecan?
Yeah.
Wow.
And the crazy thing is, like, I hate when people challenge his degree because I'm like, first of all, y'all wouldn't be challenging him if he wasn't a black man.
Right.
Number two, PCOM is credible. Like, don't get it twisted. PCOM is very credible. Funny story, before he even became like Dr. Umar, like on the Breakfast Club and all that stuff, I was supposed to do an internship with him.
I remember.
Yeah.
You was so excited. You was like, oh, Dr. Umar, email me back. This guy named Dr. Umar.
And you was like, who?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's before being like known in like mainstream industry, he was always known for being like somebody who was for black kids. Yeah. Like he worked a lot with black kids in the community, and I always enjoyed that. So
and you were going to intern at the school, right?
What school?
His school in Wilmington that he started building.
That's new. He didn't have that.
I thought he'd been working on that for years.
So
where were you going to intern with him at?
I think he was like practicing, I think. I don't think he had the school yet though.
Okay.
That would have been dope though. But yeah, so that's what I was doing. And granted, this is still like during a span of, we graduated in 2012. It's now about 2014, 2015. And that's when I got into my doctorate program. During the period of like being a doctor or pursuing my doctorate program, you have a series of internships, externships, postdoctoral fellowships. And when we go through that, like first of all, it can be a rewarding experience if you have a good supervisor, but it can also be a very daunting experience because you're having to balance school. And for me, they don't advise you to work in a full-time doctor program, but I worked. I was still working at
the state?
Nah, at the time I was working at a hospital. I was working at the Rockford Center in Delaware.
Oh, yes. I remember that.
So I was doing that. Also teaching. I was teaching at WilmU. Like I was doing a lot. And we also started double portion then. Yes. So we started double portion. So I had a lot on my plate trying to figure things out. And it wasn't until like recently where I feel like, okay, I'm in a space where this is what I was striving toward, like being able to kind of like offer services as a licensed clinical psychologist.
Right.
Even though this is not the end all be all, like I'm continuing to pursue further areas in my career trajectory because like I want to be able to get bigger contracts with schools. Right. I want to be able to, eventually get grants for my nonprofit and work for my nonprofit. Like there are so many different things that I want to do.
Right.
But I guess the main point that we're driving is like, we can't just like look at somebody's
and we didn't
now.
Start here, yeah.
Right. You can't look at somebody's now and not see their process.
Exactly. We did not start here.
We did not start here.
It was a long, bumpy, curvy road with highs and lows.
Exactly. And it reminds me of the scripture going back to despise not your humble beginnings. It's pulled up on there. I believe it's Zechariah. Give me 1 second. Zechariah 4:10. Do not despise these small beginnings, for the Lord rejoices to see the work begin, to see the plumb line in Zerubbabel's hand.
Not Zerubbabel.
Zerubbabel.
Where it say Zerubbabel?
Right here. You never heard of Zerubbabel? Babel. Zerubbabel. Zerubbabel's hand.
Zerubbabel.
I feel like that's how it's pronounced.
Yeah, it gotta be. Zerubbabel.
I think so.
Yeah.
Zerubbabel's hand. Yeah. I think that's Zerubbabel. But either way, despise not your humble beginnings. And like these are, why are you laughing?
Because who is Zerubbabel?
I don't know. It looked like bubble from a distance.
Okay, go ahead.
Anyway, so we're.
Is that the name of this episode?
Zerubbabel?
Who is Zerubbabel?
Who is Zerubbabel? Okay. But yeah, and it says not even don't just like hate on your beginning process, basically. In layman's terms, on TikTok, I've been doing the African American version of the Bible. I think I'm gonna do the African American version right now.
The African vernacular.
Yes. Don't be hating on where you start. The Lord likes to see where your work begins.
Amen.
Like, too many people be hating on where they started.
Yes. And they don't realize that like where they are right now is exactly where they're supposed to be.
Talk more about that.
So all things work together for your good, right? All things work together for those who are called according to his purpose. Where you are right now literally is exactly where you are supposed to be. Like some of us are called to be in the building. Like everybody's not going to be an entrepreneur at this moment, at this second, right now.
Yeah.
You may be called to entrepreneurship at some time in your life, but right now, you may be working a 9 to 5.
Right.
Why? To acquire the necessary skill sets.
Period.
Even for people who's in my industry. Let's say somebody wants to get into sports. You may not be in sports right now. You may be working at McDonald's, but you're acquiring the right skill set or the necessary skill set. How do we know it's necessary? Because you're there.
Exactly.
It's necessary because you're there, and we know that all things work together for your good. Mm-hmm. And it's a part of God's overall purpose and plan for your life. So you're in that thing for a reason, so embrace it. Granted, that doesn't mean to not be ambitious. That doesn't mean to not, continue to strive and to want to get to that next level. But in all things, be content. Where is that? What scripture is that? In all things, be content. Be happy with where you are. So yes, in the spirit of duality, like we talked, I don't know if it was this podcast or the last one. In the spirit of duality, yes, I am content, but I'm also ambitious. Yeah. I'm happy with where I am, but I am also expecting the greatness of God.
Come on. Because the two things can be true at the same time.
Exactly.
I can be very much an ambitious person and also appreciative
and
of
grateful.
Where I am. And grateful.
Yeah.
And grateful.
It all starts with gratitude.
Yeah. Because like you said, God can plant you somewhere, even though it's not where you're destined to be, right? Or your long-term destiny. He can be planting you there to learn the skill set.
Exactly.
He can be planting you there, like you said, at the McDonald's, so you can learn how a food franchise runs because he wants you to open your own.
Exactly.
Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be the end-all, be-all when we talk about our humble beginnings, and that's why we can't be hating on it.
Exactly.
And Zerubbabel's hands.
And Zerubbabel, honey.
Child. Period.
Pooh.
All right, so that's what we have for y'all today. I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. Listen,
I enjoyed it.
I did too. It's a good way to keep things in a perspective.
Yeah.
And not to get too caught up in the next and to be grateful for the now.
Right. I'm grateful for the next. However, I am
anticipating the next and grateful for the now.
Yes, that's how we said it. Because we made a tweet about that or something. Or did a mobile app notification.
Yes. So it's been real, y'all. Thanks for listening to another episode.
Thank you all for listening
to the Double Dose Podcast.
Yes, don't forget to leave.
I thought we were going to say it at the same time.
Sorry. Don't forget to leave not subscribe,
5-star review.
5-star review. Don't forget to leave a 5-star review.
Stop yelling at them?
No.
They
need to know. Don't forget to leave a 5-star review, y'all. If you love us, you'll leave a review.
Awesome. Thanks, y'all. And make sure you tune in next week.
See ya.
Hey everyone, my name is Odessa and you are in tune to Reasonings with Odessa. Now, if you are looking for something that is going to give you all access to Caribbean and African pop culture, this podcast is for you. Reasonings with Odessa is brought to you exclusively by Revolt Podcast Network, anchored in hip hop and powered by creators.